Good morning, everybody. I think this is probably the first time I get to say that during a recording of a video because usually I never record a video this early into the morning, but that's what I'm going to be doing today as while the game between the Red Bulls versus the Chicago Fire is currently at halftime and we still got roughly about 12 minutes before the kickoff between RSL versus Sporting KC is going to happen. This is a perfect time for me to do the preview of tomorrow's game, and hopefully this preview will be uploaded a little bit earlier than my preview that I did with the Saturday action game that was uploaded late on Friday night. I do apologize the fact that it was uploaded so late. For some reason, my internet just did not decide to cooperate with me yesterday and took longer than I anticipated for that video to be uploaded. But that being said, let us actually get into the first game of the Sunday action. And by the way, these free games in the Sunday action is kind of a little bit strange because we have the first game that's going to be bright and early in the morning at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time. Well, unless you're in the East Coast, then it's early afternoon. But for me, it isn't in the morning, and this game is going to be on ESPN. And then we have a long break before the next game between the Sounders versus the Galaxy. That's going to be kicking off at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Well, actually, that's the start of the game. The actual kickoff is not going to happen until 6:25 p.m., and that game is going to be on FS1. And the only game that's not going to be on national television is this game between the Whitecaps versus Colorado, which will kick off about 45 minutes after this game between the Sounders versus Galaxy that's going to kick off. But let us actually get into the first game, which, as I mentioned, it's Nashville SC versus Inter Miami. This, of course, is the rematch of last year where it was really kind of like my dream playoff matchup where I see two expansion teams facing off against each other, and in the end, it was Nashville, of course, able to get the win. And I think coming into this match, this is going to kind of be very similar to what we saw in the playoffs last season, where just like what we saw in the playoffs last season, Inter Miami unfortunately is going to be coming into this game shorthanded, and I'll explain in just a bit. But this game will start at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific time, but the actual kickoff will be 12:08 p.m. So an early kickoff there in Nashville and kind of a lunchtime kickoff there too. And as I mentioned, this game is going to be on ESPN. Nashville, of course, drew 2-2 against Montreal at home in the last match. Well, for Inter Miami, they won 2-1 against the Union away, and were the team that pulled off a very surprising result in Week 2 of the MLS season. The key points coming into this game for Nashville, it's pretty simple. Can they not find themselves go down 2-0 early in this game? I mean, it's great to see their resiliency that they have in the first two games to able to fight back from going down 2-0 and able to salvage a draw, and that you can even say that they probably should have won their first two games even though they were down 2-0 because they had tons of chances after they come from behind to level the score and had a chance to make it get 3-2 in this game. But obviously, if you're Nashville and if you're Gary Smith, this is something that you do not want your team to do on a regular basis, and especially I think he's not very happy with the way that his team has gone down 2-0 and have conceded goals at wills this season. I mean, this season it's been kind of weird for Nashville, where it's kind of the opposite of what they had problems last season. I mean, last season it was the problem of not able to score goals, but they have a solid defensive foundation. And then this season it's the opposite. It's them having a great attack, but for whatever reason they struggle to defend, and I guess maybe a lot of that has to do with them maybe kind of start to open up themselves a little bit and maybe not go too defensive. But that being said, I when I look at these first two games for Nashville, despite the fact that they did give up 4 goals, I think there has been some of the goals that they conceded were a little bit unfortunate, but still, at the end of the day, there's still going to be goals conceded that is counting the record. And again, this is a Nashville team that it's quite alarming the fact that this team have already conceded 2 or more goals in the first 2 games, when that is pretty much something that rarely happens last season. Now, for Inter Miami, as I mentioned, they are going to be shorthanded coming into this game because, unfortunately, both Higuain brothers have to go back to Argentina to attend the funeral of their mother, and my thoughts and prayers and condolence has to go out to the Higuain brothers, who unfortunately sad their mother passed away this week. But they also are not going to have Rodolfo Pizarro in this game because I heard he looks like he picked up a knock last week and he wasn't available for training this week. So yeah, this is going to be another game where, just like last time, where unfortunately they were shorthanded in that playoff game because of COVID reason. Now they're going to be shorthanded because they suffer some injury and also some unfortunate situation that some of their players have to deal with. But that being said, let's see if they can maybe show some character and maybe pull off another surprising result against a Nashville team that, again, this season it's been kind of weird seeing them being so good on the attack but also struggle on the defense. But at the same time, I guess it's not really weird. I think if you're a Nashville fan, you're probably enjoying the fact that your team is playing much more free-flowing soccer compared to what last year, where they didn't really play the prettiest soccer in the world, but at least it was an effective way for them to get resort throughout last season. But now, moving on, in terms of the next match, is going to be the Sounders versus the Galaxy. So there's no doubt that this is probably going to be the match of the week, because this is between two teams, with one of them that is the Galaxy being the only team in MLS to win their first two games, while the Sounders, even though they drew 1-1 against LAFC, they still look like a team that have got off to once again a great start. And kind of surprising the fact that they got off to a great start, consider a lot of people were thinking that they were going to get off to a slow start with the injuries and also a lot of question mark in terms of the roster that they have. But for this game, the good news for the Sounders is that I've heard that Ladero is going to be potentially back in the squad for this team. So now the question for the Sounders, as I'm going to talk about the key points, is that how many minutes will Ladero actually get in this game? Will he actually be in the starting 11, or if he is going to be coming off the bench in this game? If you're the Galaxy, as much as I want to give my key points, talk about whether or not if Chicharito can once again score a hat trick or even score a couple of goals to continue this red hot streak that he is in right now. The biggest question now for this Galaxy team coming in this game has to be their defense. And I know it seems like something that I always lament throughout these past couple of seasons when I talk about the Galaxy and their defense. But again, when you look at these first two games, despite the fact that they won both of them, they also gave up 2 goals in both of those games, and their defense have not looked good whatsoever, and not look like a team that I think could maybe even consider to be a team that could have playoff aspiration or even go deep into the playoffs with the defense that they had in this game. And especially now that they are going to be facing probably their toughest test this season against the Sounders and going on the road to Lumens Field to face against the Seattle Sounders. It's going to be interesting to see how they're going to do and how the defense is going to hold up. And especially, as I mentioned, if Ladero is going to be available for this game for the Sounders, I really think he could be the difference maker of this game, and he could be a guy that could really rip that Galaxy defense to shit that has not been very good throughout the first 2 games of the season. But now, moving on into the last game on this board, and the last game that's going to happen in week number 3 is going to be the Vancouver Whitecaps versus the Colorado Rapids. So for the second home game in a row, the Whitecaps will pretty much be the last team that is going to be playing throughout the week, and that is going to be a home game. Remember, in their opening weekend, they were the last team to play in week number 1. And this game will kick off at around 8:08 p.m. local time, but will start at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. Remember, this game is going to be taking place at Rio Tinto Stadium because the Whitecaps, they're going to be temporarily playing in Salt Lake City and playing at Rio Tinto Stadium for their first couple of games of the season, until if the Canadian government gives the green light to open the border again, or even give the green light for them to of course play home games and also cross the border without any restriction. Now the Whitecaps, they coming into this game fresh off of a 2-2 draw against Toronto, while for Colorado, they lost 3-1 against Austin FC at home. And for Vancouver, the key points is it's been a promising start for Mark Dos Santos' side, but it's going to be interesting to see whether or not if they can continue in this game against the Colorado Rapids team that, last week they definitely will not want to remember what happened last week, as they unfortunately has the dubious honor to become the first MLS team to lose all to Austin FC, and also was on the wrong end of history of losing to an expansion team. So, you know, for the Rapids, they're definitely looking to try to erase that memory by getting a win in this game, and especially the fact that, you know, they have not really got off to a good start to the season. They're definitely going to look to get some points in this one. And the good news is, at least they're going to be playing against Vancouver and not actually RSL at Tinto Stadium, because besides what happened last year when they surprisingly beat RSL 5-0, they have not had a good record whenever they play against a team, either RSL or in this case the Vancouver Whitecaps at Rio Tinto Stadium, although this is actually the first time that this is of course going to happen. So yeah, we shall see how this game is going to turn out. To pretty much wraps up week number 3 of the MLS regular season. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. As always, let me know in the comments below what do you think of all 3 of these games, and as always, let me know in the comments also your prediction in terms of all 3 of these games. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash the subscribe button, and yeah, I of course will see you guys next time.